Hi, I'm Alice Dade, and I wanted to answer some questions posed by students.
Hi, Alice. My name is Cal, and I'm so excited to be conducting this interview with you today. The following questions have been created by Joel Ulrich, Fiona Walker, and Anna Torquato of the University of Manitoba's Flute Studio. How do you mentally prepare for rehearsals and performances?
I mentally prepare for performances and rehearsals by visualizing what I want to have happen. I try to focus on the positives, and that's about it. I mean, and I of course you have to make sure that you're prepared on this thing, but yeah, it's a lot of mental practice. Sometimes you can even feel your hands get clammy when you think about it, but that's good. That means that you're putting some positives into, your future. I don't know. I really believe in that. If you haven't read, there's a book by the author's last name is Lohr, Loehr, and it's mental toughness. It's for sports, and actually, I'm not a huge sports fan, but there's actually a lot of parallels between classical musicians and sports, especially like on a Sunday in golf. Again, I don't play golf, but I do. I love using that analogy where the mental focus it takes for the finalists to be on the golf course and to make that putt. It's similar to what we do. I just find it really interesting. So, um, yeah, it's mental toughness, not allowing yourself to go to that negative place. Am I always successful? Maybe not, but I do my best and I try to keep the humor in the whole process. I think that's really the most important thing is you got to be able to laugh at yourself, as Ethel Merman says. um, so I try to keep it funny while keeping my focus and composure.
What's your favorite era of music to play?
Oh, I haven't met an era I don't like. I love playing new music and the freedom there is, but also like the chance to talk to the composer. I love playing Bach and trying to understand who he was and what it was like to play the instrument he wrote for and how to phrase from that time. And then Mozart and how crystal clean it needs to be and just elegant Mozart is. And then Brahms, how romantic and how there's a difference between romantic music and classical music and what exactly that means. I love all of it. I would say that I try to be kind of an actor so that I can transform into all the different eras of music. Hopefully successfully, but I haven't met an era I don't like.
What sparked your passion for flute and music?
So when I was 10 and started to play the flute in my elementary school band, my mom called the Minnesota Orchestra and asked for their advice as to were there concerts that a 10-year-old might enjoy who just started playing the flute. Jean-Pierre Rampal happened to be playing as a soloist at the Minnesota Orchestra that season. So she got tickets for him. She got tickets for Victor Borge, who was just an amazing Danish comedian and pianist, and for Henry Mancini, who wrote the soundtracks to Breakfast at Tiffany's, Days of Wine and Roses, The Thornbirds, so many good movies and shows. So I was hooked. I was 10 and I was hooked. I loved Jean-Pierre Rampal. I wanted to collect all of his CDs. I was hooked from then. And also when I went to what's called Sewanee Summer Music Center, it's in Tennessee in the States. And in orchestra, we were asked to switch seats while we were running through this Rossini overture. And I sat next to a cellist. And as soon as we started playing and I heard the cello next to me, there was just this moment where I thought, this is what I will do. I don't know why. And that summer I was 14 then. So I was always interested in it from 10 on, but then at 14, I started making plans. Like I thought, well, where does one go to major in music for school? And I found out about Juilliard and I thought, I want to go to Juilliard. And then I started researching, well, how do you get into Juilliard? What do you have to practice? And then I thought, okay, scales. I got to learn my scales. I don't know. Before then, I feel like I almost didn't know who I was. I was just kind of floating along, but that interest, that was a lightning moment, to quote one of my favorite authors, Gretchen Rubin. That was a lightning moment. I knew I had to do music.
Do you have any advice for someone thinking about attending music school?
For someone who wants to attend music school, my advice would be to do your research. See who teaches at that school and look up videos of that professor, that flutist. Try and take a lesson with them if that's possible. And look into other courses that you could take. Is there an entrepreneurial course? Would it be possible to double major? I think it's a really smart move to try and double major in something when you're in music. I personally didn't double major, but if I could go back and do it again, I think I would. I went to Juilliard for undergrad and graduate school, and they had an exchange program with Columbia University in New York City, and I was able to take a class in my grad school years, but I wish I had done more. I really enjoyed it. It made me learn about time management, and it was so refreshing to just think about something different. It can be difficult at music school just to think about one thing. So do your research. That's my major suggestion.
What are your favorite hobbies outside of music?
Well, I love cooking. I cook a lot of Japanese food, some Korean food, and some family recipes, which I'm from Kentucky. So I make cornbread, buttermilk biscuits, fried green tomatoes, but really my husband and I mostly eat Japanese food at home. I follow this blog called Just One Cookbook. That's my favorite. I've made many recipes from there. I also, at least over the pandemic, I enjoyed working on miniatures. I was starting to build a miniature kitchen. It was really tiny chairs. That was fun. I just love miniature things. I love taking walks out in nature. I do like camping, but not like 4 or 5 day hike camping, more light camping. But that is fun. I like nature. What else? I love calligraphy. Not that I'm really good at it, but I love the art of calligraphy, and I'd like to sometimes spend more time with calligraphy. What else? Well, and I do a little stand-up comedy, believe it or not. I took a course online on stand-up comedy, and I did a couple of open mic nights, like here and there in the US. It's another way of expressing myself, and I also really enjoy starting something from an uncarved block and then working out the major things and then going on to details. Whereas in flute, we're working on details all the time, sometimes major things, but it just reminds you of what it feels to be a novice at something. And I think that's really refreshing and interesting. So I would say those things. Those are my favorites.
Who are your favorite composers as a soloist, chamber, and orchestral musician?
Orchestral musician, well, all around, I love playing works by living composers who I get to meet and talk to about their ideas, and that's just, I love that process. That's one of my favorite things. Chamber music, I would say, Debussy Trio is one of my favorites. I love playing Villalobos. I love there's a piece for flute, cello, and piano by Undine Smith Moore that I played several years ago, and I still think about that performance, especially this movement on alto flute that's so moving. I love it. Lowell Lieberman has written some really great chamber works for trio as well, that same combination. There are just so many good things to play, and they're like friends. Every time I play them again, I remember the last performance. And it's, so it's nostalgic and it's exciting because you're maybe playing it with different friends, and that's great. So many. Ravel, Shostakovich, um, Bach. I mean, the list goes on. It really depends on the day, but there's just so much to choose from. I always think that I'm a little jealous of string players because they do have a larger repertoire, but we steal some good things from them, so that's okay.
What is your favorite thing about playing the flute?
I think that would be the fact that I don't have to say a word, but I can tell an audience everything I want to say without using words. This is a vehicle to talk about what's going on in my life, how I view a composer's work, what I want to do with this phrase. I always think whenever I'm having a really difficult time with the flute, as long as I have a vehicle to express myself, then I'm okay. So I'm not quite there yet in other areas of my life. Like, I love cooking, but I haven't spent as many hours cooking as I have practicing the flute. So I think that's my favorite thing about it. It's just that I can express myself and almost feel even embarrassed walking off stage because I've told everyone my secrets.
What are your future musical goals?
I would say that some things I would like to do that I haven't done yet include maybe recording another CD. There are certain pieces that are my favorite that I've always wanted to make a recording of, like the Poulenc Sonata, the Cacciatorian Violin Concerto on the flute, and maybe some Piazzolla. I'd have to think about that one. I'd like to write a book, and I am in the process of writing a book about how to play the flute and also with what musicians deal with as trying to become musicians. Anxiety and overcoming, stage fright and, any kind of adversity training. I'd really like to write about that. And other than that, I just want to continue playing with my friends, chamber music, and doing community outreach, and especially reaching out to students who are maybe from underserved communities and band programs who maybe aren't able to have private lessons. I would like to help those students have fun with the flute and music.
Thank you, Alice.